What's good? Welcome to another episode of Fun with Dumb. I am here with one of my favorite new friends of
You always have to qualify it. Why can't I just be your favorite
I
friend?
don't know why. I just like the idea that I made a new friend that I liked because
I can never just be your favorite friend. It's always favorite new friend, favorite Chinese friend.
No, it's first of all, I don't, I don't know about you, but for me, I don't make a lot of new friends anymore. Maybe I'm jaded a little bit in that way. You know what I'm saying? And you know what it is? I think, like in my industry in music, I don't go out to as much events as I used to. So I don't have a lot of opportunities to like do that. And then recently, as I got into your industry of writers and actors and all that, I mean my industry too now, but like I'm mixing. I'm mixing with people, and these mixers are for that. And a lot of these Asian entertainer mixers are hot right now.
There's a lot of thirst though.
There is a lot of thirst. No, I have noticed that. Yeah, I mean, okay, we'll go into that because you're actually one of the godmothers of this
of
thing.
the thirst
of the mixers. But here, let me just intro everybody to who you are. This is my friend Jessica Gao, who is an Emmy award-winning writer of multiple shows. Well, Emmy is for one show, Rick and Morty, correct?
Correct.
I didn't do full research. I'm just like, right? I met her through our mutual friend Jimmy O. Yang. She happens to write on Rick and Morty and won an Emmy for a particular episode that became a cult phenomenon, the Pickle Rick episode. I'm sure you have a whole fan base based off of that alone.
Yeah.
Which is probably crazy.
Yeah.
And I think probably people watching this are going to flip out on that too. But congrats on that. And you developed the show on ABC. Shot a pilot for it. It didn't go to season, but what was it? What was it tentatively named? I know.
It didn't have an official title.
I know, but
we were calling it Lazy Rich Asians.
Lazy Rich Asians, and I know you weren't like fully proud of that name or anything. But
it was a joke.
Yeah, it was a joke. I remember.
Yeah,
but
I mean, like all the white executives caught on to it.
Everybody was running with it, like straight up.
Dude, all the trade announcements were like Lazy Rich Asians.
It could have deadass been Lazy Rich Asians. Like if it went a little further, people would have been like, "Nah, we like the name," and it would have happened. And currently, I mean, can you talk about the thing you're working on now? Is there?
Yeah. I'm running a She-Hulk for Marvel on Disney Plus.
Disney Plus new show, She-Hulk. That's sick.
Yeah.
And that's like you said, that was kind of like your dream project.
Totally.
Too.
I've been chasing it for years. I've been trying to get them to let me do it for years.
That's amazing. Like, what do you mean? They were always trying to work on this project?
No, like I'd pitched to Marvel before, and every time I didn't get a job at Marvel, I would say like on my way out the door, I would be like, if you ever do She-Hulk, you better fucking call me or I'll burn this building to the ground.
That's crazy.
And I did that quite a few times. And then when they made the She-Hulk announcement, I was like, those motherfuckers didn't call me. I guess I'm burning down a building. And then they called me like literally the next day.
That's so tight that you're chasing that particular character in that project.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, what's your attachment to this character?
She's just a really rad character because she's this like big, strong woman who was a lawyer, and like she was really sassy, and she was also she was one of the only Marvel characters that broke the fourth wall and would talk directly to the reader in the comic books. She would talk to like the comic book writer. She talked to the artists. Like, yeah. I mean, she did it all before Deadpool did.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I wasn't fully familiar with the comic book character, but is that kind of what the direction you guys are going with the...
That I cannot say.
Okay, yeah. You were flexing a little bit with this Marvel shit when you first booked it. I remember.
What do you mean?
You were just buying random shit like Rolex watches.
Oh,
and talking,
you mean this
watch?
watch?
The vintage Rolex watch.
Thank you.
I just noticed little things, purses, And then just talking about your parking space and shit.
My parking space?
Flexing of who the fuck?
What are you talking about?
Who flexes a parking space?
I didn't flex a parking space. What are you talking about?
I mean, but that is a flex because I know going to a lot of studios, you see the premium parking spaces, and when you go for like a small role or like an audition, the parking situation kind of sucks. It gets
Oh,
really
yeah.
packed. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
if you have the right in front of the office, it's a big deal.
You can measure your level of importance to the person you're meeting based
Right.
on where they have you park.
In
Like that's
studio-
for
in
real.
Hollywood, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
totally.
Yeah, because you get the little sign to picket
Yeah,
sign.
yeah.
You got one of those or what?
Oh. Well, if you want me to flex, of course I have
do.
I have a reserved spot.
That's tight.
But I mean, it's not like it has my name on it. It
Right.
just has a number. So, the message is clear. I'm replaceable. Like
So,
they
wait.
don't need to be changing any names.
Your title for the She-Hulk, what is it? Are you
What's-
head writer, showrunner? What
Well,
is it?
it's weird because at Marvel they kind of call the position that would normally be called showrunner, at Marvel specifically they call them all head writers. But at any other studio, head writer and showrunner are two different positions.
Mm-hmm.
Showrunner is kind of literally the person who runs the whole show, and then usually a head writer, most people don't even use that term. It's kind of an outdated term. Most
Right.
people kind of just call them a number two.
Yeah,
But that's what the head writer is. It's a number two. But weirdly at Marvel, the highest rank, the top, the writer who's running everything is called head writer. So it's a little confusing.
Is this your first time having that position or what?
I've been a head writer before in the traditional, use of the term. But this is my first time show running.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the big role.
Yeah.
Fun with Dumb is brought to you by Mack Weldon. MackWeldon.com offers some of the most simple shopping experience, the most premium fabrics, and just this line of all the basics you can own with the most comfortable wear, from underwear to shirts, plain white shirts to workout shorts. This is a thermal right here from the site, and probably the best thermal I've ever owned. They even have a line of silver underwear and shirts that are natural microbial, which means they eliminate odor. And here's something that I've never seen a site do. If they want you to be comfortable, so if you don't like your first pair of underwear, you can keep it and they will still refund you, no questions asked. So your first pair of underwear is pretty much free if you want. My experience with the products have been great. I've put them through the test. I run, I work out, and probably some of the most comfortable basics I've ever owned. So if you go right now, for my listeners, for 20% off of your first order, visit MackWeldon.com and put in promo code FWD, which is short for Fun with Dumb. 20% off your first order. Visit MackWeldon.com and enter promo code FWD, which is short for Fun with Dumb. That's MackWeldon.com, MackWeldon.com, and use promo code FWD, 20% off. Trust me, these products are great. Okay, let me go back to how I met you, I guess. I met you through some mutual other writers too, Jimmy O Yang, who was on my first episode of Fun with Dumb. And then you introduced me to your event, which is an exclusive event, a secret club of thirsty Asian people in the industry. No, I'm kidding. But you founded the AZNs in Entertainment Facebook group.
Yeah.
And once a month, writers, actors, producers, anybody pretty much in the entertainment industry meet up and mix, I guess, and mingle.
Yeah, it's very chill. It's it's always at Cafe Blue, thanks to you.
Yeah. Don't put that on blast. Dude, it's gonna be extra packed.
But it's once a month, and it's just we set a time and a day, and literally anyone can show up.
Let me ask you this, because were you all are you into that, just organizing stuff and events like that? Because when I met you, I didn't necessarily think that would be your style,
Right.
the person who organizes these kind of events. You know?
I didn't really set out to start anything. It was more that I started going to the WGA, the Writers Guild of America, which is the Screenwriters Union. They have several subcommittees of people that can join. It's the Latino Writers Committee, Black Writers Committee. So there's an Asian American Writers Committee. So I joined it. I went to a couple of the meetings thinking I'm gonna link up with a bunch of Asian writers and we're gonna commiserate and talk shit on some white people. And I went and it wasn't like that. When I first went, probably 10 years ago or something, there was 4 people. And so it was really sad, but it was still cool to talk to other Asian writers. And then fast forward a few years, and they were getting 30, 40 people at the meetings, but then it became structured weird, where they would have a guest speaker there to do a little spiel and then maybe do a Q&A, and that was kind of it. And I was like, I'm not trying to go to like an Asian TED Talk, you know?
Right.
So I literally just wanted to go and hang out and meet some other Asian people, like very casually. And again,
that is true though.
Yeah.
They used to be more like panel like almost,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. I don't want to go to like a lecture, you
Right.
know? So you know, I'd bitch about it all the time. Then I was like, maybe I should not bitch about it and just like do something.
Yeah.
But why don't I just do something like that? So I thought, all right, I'm just gonna pick a bar, pick a day.
Yeah.
And I emailed like, you know, all 15 Asians I knew who worked in entertainment. And I was like, I want to do this thing. So like, let's all just come to this bar at this day, and everybody like tell another Asian that you know. And I figured I'll probably get like, you know, I'll be lucky if I get like 20 people to go.
Yeah.
And fucking 50 people showed up.
On the first one?
First one, 50 people
Holy
showed
shit.
up. Yeah, it was crazy. No Facebook group. Literally, I emailed 15 people and said, bring somebody.
And this was, how many years you going strong now? 2 years? Or
2.5.
2.5.
2.5 years.
So this was the first one, and then every week from then was still pretty strong?
Every month.
I mean, every month was pretty strong?
And then every month it was like consistently 50 people. And I used to like do it at different bars every month to like, you know, so because like West Side people would complain, and then like Valley people would complain. So then I switched it around, and then I was like, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
Because, you know, then I have to like coordinate with a different bar every month. And, you know, I wanted some consistency. And then I met you, and you were.
I was luring you into doing it there consistently
and you
to make it easier for me.
Yes. You really, really gave me the hard sell to do it at Cafe
And
Blue.
the funny thing is, I was cool with it for like 2-3 months, and I would forget that it's an ASEAN mixer, and I just walk in one day regularly. I'd be like, why is there 100 people here right now?
You spent a month talking me into doing it at Cafe Blue, and then when I did it, you then started complaining to me very quickly that you didn't want it at Cafe Blue anymore.
But you know what's funny? I think people really enjoyed that spot.
Yes.
For the mixer, you know?
Yeah, and I have to say, like, by far, Cafe Blue was the most supportive, like, they just
venue.
are so accommodating, like such great hosts. Whereas like other venues act like they're doing me a favor for me to like bring business on a fucking Tuesday night.
Yeah.
And then at Cafe Blue, it started growing really big. Then it started getting to be like 70 people, 80 people. I think the most we had was probably like around 120 people.
I mean, it's crazy. I'd go and I'd mix. You know, I would go there, right? You got the name tags. You know, I'm mixing. I met some really cool people there too. You know, and some. And then the funny thing about Cafe Blue, it actually has a history of old Asian entertainers like. They go there as a regular bar.
Yeah. Any time I've gone into Cafe Blue casually, there is always a Korean actor in there.
Really?
Yeah, every time.
Well, yeah, I know a few.
You know all. You know who I'm talking about.
I don't know why I'm shocked. Like, I know exactly who you're talking about. Yeah. But so the Asians Entertainment, and you know what's funny? Like you started it right kind of before the boom. Right?
Yeah.
Right before the boom, and you probably see it kind of significantly divide, maybe change, or the people or the projects that are being
people are a lot more hopeful and also a lot thirstier.
Right.
People are a lot more shameless about their thirst.
As you got to be thirsty. Yeah. Right? I mean, it's a time to be thirsty.
Yeah.
If you're not showing the thirst, you're not gonna get in. You know, and it's real. Like there are opportunities there. You know what I'm saying? So these mixers are. They're more important than before, I guess.
Yeah.
You know? And like you can actually come out of the mixer with a job or a connect.
Yeah.
As opposed to before, it might have been more of a collaboration thing. Like let's make a short together or something. And now it's like, you know, like cast me on your show.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, it is cool for people because, like, not only do they get to meet other people who are doing the same things as them, like, who could possibly collaborate, but, like, people can get jobs. People have found, like, creative partners.
Right.
People have found representation there. Like, that's really cool, too, because, like, managers, like, go. So like it's nice that people actually like get something out of it.
You're
know,
the godmother of that shit.
Yeah.
I see people. You know, you always have your own booth. You're always there, surrounded by 3-4. I'm like, I go up there, hey Jess, hey. I'm like, who are these?
You came to my booth empty-handed.
Do you want a job or not? I'm like, let me just go back into kind of your history. I don't think we've really talked about this because we just, you know.
By the way, we can't move away from the mixer without me giving credit to my assistant Yusong, who I forced to basically organize everything for me now. So
well, he's you kind of passed on the torch, right?
Yeah, and he's fantastic.
Yeah, no.
So all credit goes to Yusong.
I mean, still staying strong, so that's all that needs to happen. And But with you, I mean, I've never really talked to you about like, you know, how you came up as a writer or not, because we're just chilling or whatnot. But I'm curious because you've worked on several shows that, you know, me and the homies love, whether it's Rick and Morty, Silicon Valley, right? What else? I mean, what's some of your history?
Robot Chicken. Corporate. I started in kids TV, so
really,
yeah, a lot of like, yeah, I started at Nickelodeon.
Oh, okay.
So, well, I was an art major, like fine arts major. Okay. I went to UCLA, and but 2 quarters in, I was like, oh no, this is terrible. I don't want to be an artist. Like because the program at UCLA is very like hoity-toity, like high concept.
Was it animation or no?
No, like drawing and
fine art.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like I had to do everything. I had to do drawing, painting, photography, sculpture, blah blah blah. And it was, but my specialty was drawing, and I specifically did a lot of like pen and ink. But the program there, it's like very hoity-toity. It's all like very famous rich artists who teach there. And 2 quarters in, I was like, this is a terrible mistake. I don't want to be an artist. Like the art world is very bullshit. And like we're all gonna graduate, and guess what? We're not gonna be showing at like Blum and Poe. We're gonna be working at the art store, you know. But I didn't want to read or write during college, so I didn't switch majors. I was like, I'm just gonna get a degree. It doesn't, like, all my parents cared about was that I got a degree.
Right.
So I was a good Asian, and I got my degree in 3 years. Got an art degree, which is already useless if you want to be an artist, because it's like no one's checking for degrees if you're trying to be an artist, you know?
Yeah, they're happy you got the degree, but it was an art degree. It's like partial credit.
Yeah, they could like brag to their friends that I graduated from UCLA, but we're hoping that they didn't ask what the major was. So then like I have this very useless degree, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. I just know I didn't want to be an artist.
Yeah.
And so I moved to England.
Oh, wow.
I found out that you could get a 6-month temporary work visa. So I applied for that. I got a 6-month work visa. I moved to London. I got a job working for this woman who opened an art gallery. And she like hired me on the spot because she always gets along with Libras. And
some artist gallery owner shit right there.
And she hired me to run her gallery. I'm like, I just turned 21 a month ago.
Wow.
Just graduated college, and she hired me to run her gallery and told me I could hire 2 assistants.
Oh wow.
It was crazy. So I'm like interviewing people who are older than me, being like, why do you think you're qualified to be my assistant?
Damn. That's
like
pretty
a fucking
lit
asshole.
for a 21-year-old new city.
Yeah, totally. But I was so fucking broke the whole time.
Oh, the money wasn't good?
It was just so, I mean, it was better than if I was working as a waitress, but it was just so expensive. I lived in like an ex-council flat, which is like, I mean, a council flat is like projects.
You have expensive taste, I gotta say.
But a council flat is projects and is housing projects. And like I lived in, it was like a 3-bedroom, no living room. So it was literally, you walk in, it's a hallway, 3 bedrooms and a kitchen and a bathroom.
Right.
And we had, and I had 2 roommates, and we had pay-as-you-go utilities.
Oh, wow.
So like the gas meter and the water meter, you had to swipe a card. You had to go to a convenience store and put money on the card, and then you swipe the card, and that's how much gas you had. So if you don't like remember, like you could just run out of gas in the middle of the night, and then you're fucked because all the convenience stores are closed, so you won't have gas until the morning when you can run down to a convenience store and put more money on your card. Like that's how trash these apartments were.
Damn. Never even heard of that shit.
Yeah, I know. I'd never seen or heard of it since. Like it was terrible. Yeah. And I was there for all like the winter months too.
Yeah. So this is all the span of 6 months.
Yeah. And and I was so fucking broke. Like I would just, every week I would buy like a loaf of bread, a 6-pack of like baked beans, and a wedge of cheese, and I would just eat baked beans on toast with cheese every day.
Were you going out doing any like 21 shit?
I mean, a little bit, but not really, just because I couldn't fucking afford it, you know?
Yeah.
Everything was so expensive.
Yeah.
I mean, looking back, like I wish I'd just been like, you know what, fuck it, I'll go in debt or something, and just like enjoyed instead of trying to be responsible, because I was like miserably broke, you know?
Right.
Like I could only hang out if it was like at someone's house.
Right.
Like my first few months there, when I had like savings from America, I was like going out, and then that went away in like 3 weeks. Disappeared so fast. So then my work visa ran up, and I told my boss, I was like, my visa's up. I gotta go. And she said, I really like you. I will sponsor you if you want to stay permanently.
Oh, wow.
And I said, I'd love to go back to LA and never return, which is what I did. I've never been back since.
Right.
But that's living in London was when I first developed a taste for Scotch. Yeah.
That's what you came back with, your 6 months London experience. And
yeah, I never drank whiskey.
I thought you were about to say some shit like, that's where I learned my self-discipline or some shit.
Hell no.
Scotch.
That's where I learned I like Scotch,
right.
And I will forever be a Scotch
drinker.
And
still when you go out, you're like, Scotch. Yeah.
Not that you would know, because I don't ever see you bringing me a Scotch to my booth.
Jesus Christ. No, I'm not gonna get casted in She-Hulk now. You know that.
Yeah, no. Originally, I was gonna cast you as She-Hulk.
Shut the fuck up. All right, so hold on. You come back to LA,
which is where I grew up. So my parents live here, and so I moved back in with them. Still don't know what I want to do with my life, right. But I was like, cross off, run a gallery in London, off the list. And a friend of mine worked in marketing, and he was like, we need a temp for 2 days, just a 2-day temp to do some grunt work.
Okay.
And I was like, yeah, I need money. I'll go work for 2 days. And I went in for 2 days and stayed for a year. Okay. And every week I was like, I don't actually work here. Like, I'm just a temp, guys. I don't really work here. I might not be here tomorrow because I'm just a temp. Mm-hmm. But like, I've been there for a year. I wrote their training manual for their new coordinators. I was like running campaigns. And so finally my boss calls me into his office and he's like, you need to accept that you work here. Like, this is crazy. Like, last year, I've been trying to put you on salary, so you would have been making 3 times what you're making as a temp.
Yeah.
I've never had to beg someone to take more money for the work they're already doing. I'm trying to give you health benefits. I'm trying to give you a 401k.
Was it just because you didn't want to accept that that was your thing?
Because I knew that if I did, then I would get comfortable and I wouldn't, I just wouldn't figure it out, Mm-hmm. I mean, not that I was doing a great job staying there for a fucking year as a temp, making like $11 an hour or whatever it was. And so he goes, look, like, can you, I want to promote you. I can't because you don't legally work for us. You work for a temp agency.
Yeah.
So can you sign a work contract? I will start you on a promotion right now. And so I said, I quit. Mm-hmm. And he was not psyched to hear that. Like, that's not what a boss wants to hear when he says, I'm promoting you. And I didn't even have to give notice because I was a temp. I was an hourly worker. I could leave after lunch, know? And so then I go home and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I already make so little money. I have to live with my parents. And I just quit. Like, what am I doing with my life?
You just didn't, you didn't know what you wanted to do, but
I knew it wasn't that.
You knew what you didn't want to do.
Exactly. Yeah. And I knew that, like, dude, if you promote me, put me on salary, give me benefits, I'm just going to get comfortable.
Yeah, that's the shit that I knew too back then. Is like, I didn't know what I wanted to do in life, but I knew what I didn't want to do.
Yeah. And it's very, very easy. It's a slippery slope getting comfortable in something you don't want to do.
100%.
Because you meet so many people who are in these, like, boring ass office jobs, and you're like, how did you? And they're just like, look, I just fell into it and I kept getting promoted.
And it's hard to go backwards in lifestyle.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You get a good salary. That's why I chased after my dreams while I had shitty situations.
Yes. And you got to do it like when you're young and you can still handle like living like a dirtbag.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It gets harder.
It gets harder and harder and harder. And your body doesn't put up with as much stuff. Sure. Yeah. So then here I am. I'm 22. I got one foot in the grave. Life is passing me by. I got one last chance to make this shit happen. I still didn't know what I wanted to do.
And it wasn't necessarily art shit. Like, you were already removed from that.
Yeah. I mean, I was really involved with, like, a lot of comic books because when I was in college, I grew up reading comics. When I was in high school, I worked at the local comic book store. When I was in college, I organized comic book conventions at UCLA.
So this was your world of shit. That passion, at least.
Yeah. So I think in the back of my mind, I probably thought, like, I'll probably end up working in comics in some capacity.
Yeah, but you probably didn't imagine, like, I'm gonna write stuff.
No.
Yeah.
Like, I thought maybe I'll put out like a little indie book that I write and draw.
Like a zine and
but I'll probably end up being like an editor or something,
right.
And or maybe I'll just organize conventions forever and work at Comic-Con or something, you know. But I didn't really have a plan. But because I'd organized those conventions in college, I became friends with all these like indie comic book guys.
Okay.
Who were like all 10 years older than me. And to me, it was like, they were doing the thing they wanted to do. They had a passion. They had a career. They were established. They had a name, So I basically had an intervention for myself. And I got them all together. And I was like, guys, what should I do with my life?
Yeah.
And across the board, they all were like, you should write. You're a storyteller. You should write. And I was
Right.
like, all right, I'll take your word for it. So then I thought I should write for animation because in animation, I was like, oh, I heard that some people do all the writing and other people do the drawing. Because at that point, I was like, I just don't want to draw anymore.
Right.
And for some reason, I didn't get it into my head yet that you don't have to draw and write. You could do one or the other. Like you didn't have, it was a package deal.
Yeah.
So I thought, all right, I'll do animation. It seems like a good transition from comic books. I watched a lot of animation. Like I got it, So, but I didn't know anybody who worked in entertainment. So I emailed everybody I knew and I said, I've decided to be an animation writer. If you know how, tell me. And one person wrote back and was like, my friend works at Nickelodeon and she says that they have a writing fellowship you can apply for.
That's cool.
Here's the link. So I click on the link. I read the guidelines. I Google what is a spec script.
Right.
And then I Google how to write a spec script. And then I got a 3-day trial to Final Draft, which is like the software you use to write scripts.
You're like,
yeah,
I got 3 days.
I got 3 days to write this shit because this trial's only for
That's
3
hilarious.
days.
Yeah.
Because that shit is expensive.
Is it expensive when you? I think I got like a bootleg.
Yeah. Well, back then it was probably like $80, which was like an enormous amount of money for
for just any software. You don't want to buy shit anyway.
Yeah.
Software is like
yes,
you want to find little loopholes.
Like I'd never paid for Microsoft Word in my life,
Right.
So that's crazy. Also, to like be living with your parents, have almost no income, to spend $80 on software is crazy.
Yeah.
So I got the 3-day trial and I wrote a script and I was like, well, it's Nickelodeon, so I better write a Nickelodeon script. So I wrote a SpongeBob SquarePants spec.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I turned that in and it's one of those things where like you submit in January, but they don't tell you until like September whether or not you're a finalist.
Holy shit.
So life is on hold. And so during that time, I'm working as an office temp. I'm working retail.
Right.
And, but like no plan B. I was just like, I'm just going to see how this works out. Like, I got one egg. So that was the one egg, one basket. Let's see what happens.
That's hella irresponsible.
I know. I mean, haven't I established a pattern that I've been very irresponsible?
I feel that. But that's hilarious that January through September.
Oh, man. I was like, I just got to see. I just got to see.
Crossing my fingers. Okay,
no plan B.
You get
so then I get the call. I'm working retail at a clothing store, and like I get the call. And they're like, you're a semifinalist. We'd like to see another script. And I was like, I don't have another script. Like, I only had 3 days for that final draft, man. Right. And they were like, okay, what have you been doing for 9 months,
Yeah.
And so they told me I had 4 days to write another script.
Oh, shit. Okay.
So then I'm like, fuck. And then they were like, you have to make sure it's a primetime network sitcom. And I was like, fuck, double fuck. So then I write an office spec in 4 days. And I turn it, and I think I wrote it in like Microsoft Word or something because I didn't have that final draft anymore.
That's funny.
And so I turned it into them. They loved it, and so they had me come in for a bunch of interviews. And what was funny was it came down to 4 finalists, right? And they did this really mean, nasty thing where they had all 4 of us come in and sit in the waiting area at the same time, and they had us come in one at a time to interview.
Okay.
And I was like, you can't fucking schedule this. Like, this is so rude. Like, to make people wait like that. But I was the first person called in. And so when the assistant's, like, taking me down the hallway, I said to him, I was like, okay, dude, no matter what happens in that room, when we walk out, laugh with me. And he goes, okay, totally. And so when we walk out of there, we're both going,
You told him that?
Yeah.
That's
and he
hilarious.
Totally did it. And he was like belly laughing with me as we walk out. And we walk past all the waiting people going.
Just fucking them up psychologically.
Yeah. Being like, oh my God, see you soon. And then I got it.
That's amazing. That's crazy.
All I had to do was ruin 3 lives.
What's the program like? What is that like?
So I think it's a little different now because this was like 13 years ago.
Yeah.
And it was 14 years ago. And it was so it was a year long. It was awesome. It was a year long and it was salaried.
Oh, wow.
And at the time, they paid you $40,000 a year, which is a lot of fucking money.
Yeah.
That was more than the promotion would have paid me in marketing.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. $40,000 a year.
While you're learning
everything. All you're doing is learning. And they pay for, if you want to take screenwriting classes on the side, if you want to take like improv classes, they would pay for it.
Right.
If you want to take like the Robert McKee seminar, they would pay for it. Like, they were fantastic.
So that was that's if you get that spot, it's a big lucky spot. Like, position to be in.
And then 3 months into it, 2 different Nickelodeon shows offered to staff me.
Oh wow.
So I just dipped early and started working as a staff writer.
And you were there for a minute.
Yeah, so I wrote on this animated show called The Mighty Bee for 2 seasons. Its series run was 2 seasons, and then I started writing for this boy band show, this live action boy band show called Big Time Rush. I wrote on that for the 2nd season, and then right when that season wrapped, one of the guys who wrote with me on The Mighty Bee was hired as the head writer for this Lucasfilm animated Star Wars project that ended up getting shelved that nobody knows about now. It's called Star Wars Detours. And he was hired as the head writer, so then he got me hired on that, and it was executive produced by Matt Senreich and Seth Green from Robot Chicken. So once I started working on that, they then hired me on to Robot Chicken.
So just naturally kind of making those connections.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's just, like you work with people, and if you're not an asshole and you do good work, they're going to want to work with you again. You know?
I feel like that's been like since I've met you, it's been 2 years now?
Yeah. Yeah.
Probably about 2 years, right? And it's crazy because even in those last 2 years, you've gone from certain projects, and it's been incredible. I mean, you won an Emmy when I met you, like 6 months into knowing you, or a year, or
because
whatnot.
I met you.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't say it. No, I'm kidding. No, but that was incredible. I mean, and I think like that is one of the, you can say that's probably a highlight, obviously the Emmy, but just also the cultural impact of that particular episode.
Yeah.
I mean, that shit was crazy. You probably
pretty
didn't
nuts.
expect any of that, right? Like,
yeah.
Well, I mean, where was the inspiration? Where did that come from? The inspiration for that episode, particularly?
It came from Dan Harmon. It was totally his idea.
Yeah.
Like we were doing this thing in the writer's room where we had a timer set for 50 minutes, 50. And so for those 50 minutes, you can only talk about work. You can't look at your phone. You can't check email. And then when that timer goes off, you set a timer for 10 minutes and you get a 10-minute break, do whatever you want. And so, you're watching the clock go, the countdown clock. And there was like 30 seconds left before we were going on break. So no one's going to like...
It's all like spitballing, you mean? Like, is that for 15
or
minutes?
Just like, or just like discussing 50.
Right. 50.
Yeah.
50,
okay. It's just
this
whatever.
This is interesting. I like this shit. Okay.
Yeah. And so, there's 20 seconds left before we're about to go on break. So no one's going to start a new thought because we're about to go on break.
Right.
And as a joke, Dan goes, oh, and Rick turns into a pickle. And then it was like break. And then we go off on break. So we were like, haha, like funny joke, Right. But he comes back from the break and he's like, I can't get the thought out of my head. I can't get the image out of my head of a pickle with Rick's face on it.
Yeah.
And he was like, I keep thinking about and laughing at Morty going into the garage, and there's a pickle on Rick's workbench, and you hear Rick's voice going, Morty, turn the pickle over. And then Morty turns it over, and it's Rick, and Rick's like, I turned myself into a pickle. And he was like, I can't get that. And so we were like, okay, I guess we're making this into an episode.
And it just escalates from there.
So then we were like, okay, then what happens after that? And what happens after that? And what happens after that? And then we were like, okay, why did he turn himself into a pickle? Right. And then we had this whole like therapy thing. Like we thought it would be so funny if he like did this such an elaborate thing just to get out of going to family therapy rather than just say like, no, I don't want to go to family therapy, And I love action movies, so I love all the action movie stuff in it, but I also love juxtaposing the action with these like very quiet therapy beats.
That's that's crazy. That was it. Just the quick pickle joke.
You never know what's going to start something.
And then imagining the face. Now I can't even get most people, it's such a cultural phenomenon. You see the fucking face on the goddamn pickle.
Yeah.
And there's mad merch items and all types of shit. That's sick. And so you hear that, you get nominated for the Emmy for that episode, and you win that Emmy. That's crazy. Probably thinking back to that simple, quick idea.
I know. It is crazy.
That's sick as fuck.
Yeah.
That's tight. Have you had like cats hit you up about that, like just fanatics particularly?
Yeah, I mean, that season was the first season that Rick and Morty hired women writers. And so like we got a lot of hate from like, just like terrible, gross, like horrible dudes on Twitter.
Super bro-y.
Yeah, but it's just like dumb shit, they just want to be like, you guys ruined Rick and Morty, and it's like
that the women did?
Yeah, and because I mean, it's because it's people who don't understand how anything works,
Right.
And but also it's like it was a great fucking season, like, or also if you don't like it, then fuck off.
So because the season didn't go the way they wanted, they instantly blamed the women for it.
Yeah, I think they just once they found out that like women were writing for Rick and Morty, I think they would have found any reason to hate on it. Yeah,
okay.
But it's also like, what do I give a shit about? Like these aren't people who do cool things or make cool things.
Right,
so like, who cares? You know.
And I mean, from what I've heard, because I don't know the history of like how writers' rooms look, but that's like it's almost recent that more women have come into the writers' room, right? Like, it wasn't it for a long time. Like
when I first started, like more often than not, I was the only woman and always the only person of color. And
wow.
Second half of my career, it's been getting better. But by getting better, I mean like maybe there's 2 women,
right?
You know, but there's usually only 1 person of color still. So I guess you can say it's getting better, but it's
still a lot of work to be done.
It's slow. Yeah.
That was really a shocker to me, actually. You know, not knowing about the world and coming in hearing that. Like, I was just like, I couldn't really believe that. You know what I'm saying?
Well, because here's the thing. Like, if you think about it, it makes sense because most showrunners, most people who get to have their own shows are white dudes. And they're white dudes of a certain background. Usually, like, a majority of them are like fucking Harvard Lampoon assholes.
Right.
You know, and they... What they think is funny is a certain type of humor, and it's usually coming from dudes who look like them, grew up like them, had the same friend base as them, you know?
I mean, I'll even admit, too, like when I first kind of, in the last couple of years, as I'm like developing shows and working with co-writers and stuff like that, I personally did not think I would choose like my co-writer like a girl, because like I'm in like a group chat with like 7 dudes and shit every day. You know, but I met with so many writers like for certain projects, and I landed on more female writers than male. And I don't know what it was. It was like a certain perspective or something that I kind of needed. Because I was coming so on this one side, and then the other dudes that I link with, like, we were kind of hitting the same notes.
Yeah, but it's good that you recognize that.
I did recognize.
You know what I mean? Because most male showrunners traditionally, like, rather than be like, oh, I need somebody to fill in the blanks that I don't, they're like, oh, I think this dude's funny because he says all the same shit I say.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's this like very narcissistic, like insular thing of like, I only want same around me. And it's like, yeah, I get it. It's comforting. It's comfortable. You know, you feel like you're with your friends, you know?
Right.
But I mean, here's the thing. It's like people talk about like how to solve the diversity problem all the time. And it's like, you know, a lot of these studios and networks in good faith are like trying to do things like forcing, you know, a show to like hire at least 1 person of color, right? Or 1 woman. But the thing is, what happens is they hire 1 person at the lowest level of writer, which is staff writer. That's the lowest level. That's entry level.
Right.
That person has no power in the room. So you're hiring 1 person who has 0 power in the room and thinking quota, like as if that's going to make a difference, you know? And guess what? Like, if the room is full of shitty dudes, they're gonna be very divisive and be like, oh, well, you're only here to fill a quota. You actually didn't earn it here, but I did, you know, with my fucking inherited generational wealth and my, you know, and my white privilege and my male privilege. And so it doesn't actually create change. And if anything, like, you're just creating a horrible environment for a person of color or a woman. Yeah. And then when that inevitably doesn't work out, like, you also create a whole bunch of horrible white dudes who are like, oh, well, that didn't work out. That's what you get when you get forced PC, you know?
Right.
When really, like, to me, I think the solution is like, you need to give more women and people of color shows. Like, let's let them tell the stories, because that's the other thing too. It's like, if all the showrunners and show creators are one type of person, like, those are the only stories getting told. So then the people who can relate to those stories and know how to tell those stories because they're from those backgrounds are the only people who are the perfect person for the job. Because a lot of dumbass people love to argue like it should be a meritocracy, like let the best person get the job. But it's like, okay, but if you're only putting out one type of job, like only one kind of person is going to be the best at the job, you know? And so it's not a meritocracy, you know? If all the people who are choosing who's the best all look the same and are the same and from the same background, that's not equality. Like, that's so stupid, you know? So like, to me, it's like, we need more people like us
Yeah.
telling the stories,
For
because
sure.
then that the writers' room hopefully will naturally reflect that, you know.
Yeah. I mean, that's happening, I think, with also kind of the star power that's being put into people of color. You know what I'm saying? There's more star power. Like Nora Aquafina, like, because her name is up, she has a little bit more power to throw in mad people in the writers'
Yeah,
room.
yeah.
And you know, like, that's kind of what this game is about too. It's
Yeah.
like you need kind of that power,
Yeah.
like that name power.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't realize that because I was out there pitching like, this is just a great idea. They're like, no, motherfucker, who's attached to this shit?
I mean, that's the thing, is that people outside of the business, what they don't understand is they think it's all about a great idea. And
know.
it's like, dude, ideas are a fucking dime a dozen.
It's
like
true.
any
Yeah.
idea that you can think of, like 20 people have already thought of it
100%.
before. And it really, truly, you only sell something on the promise of execution.
Yeah.
Like they're not buying it for the idea. They're buying it because they're like, I know you can actually deliver this idea.
I know, yeah, for sure. You have to hash it out further
Yeah.
than just an idea.
Yeah.
You gotta
Ideas mean nothing.
Yeah, there's like 50 motherfuckers getting stoned right now.
Yeah.
Like, I got a fire idea.
Yeah, totally. And so like
That was me.
so like the people who are all fucking precious about their ideas, it's like, that tells me two things. You don't have any other ideas. Because when people are like way too precious about one idea, that means
true.
they have nothing else.
It's true.
Like, I don't care. Like, if something doesn't go for me, I'm like, I don't care. I got 2,000 other ideas.
And they get super mad about
Yeah.
somebody who actually figured out that idea and took it further.
Yeah,
They're
totally.
like, that was my idea. Like,
Yeah.
no, that was a lot of people's ideas.
Yeah.
He just did something with it.
There are no fucking new ideas, you know?
Yeah.
And it's just people putting spins on old things, on classic things, or just people's ability to like put their own flavor into an existing idea, you know?
Yeah.
Like, that's really the key. It's like all these people who are buyers, they're buying the whole package. They're not just buying an idea. They're buying like a team. They're buying the promise that someone has the experience and the talent, proven track record to be
Right.
able to give them this finished product.
Here's some gems dropped from once an irresponsible young 21-year-old who went to London and has been working now for 13 plus years in the game and who's become a godmother. Such an inspirational story. Shout out to all the aspiring young Chinese writers out there.
And only the aspiring Chinese writers.
I'm an ally. I'm an ally.
No other aspiring writers should be inspired by this.
Jessica gives me shit because she thinks I'm a fake ally of the Chinese, but actually we've formed quite a bond.
A Chinese-Korean alliance.
We have, because you're very Koreatown.
Yes.
You know, you're a Chinese person, but
Yes.
you're very Koreatown
Yes.
too, which I fuck with.
Yeah.
You've been in the neighborhood super long. You throw
Yep.
your mixers here.
Yep.
You're very knowledgeable of Korean culture.
It's true.
And I feel like I haven't reciprocated that enough of the
No.
Chinese culture.
Yeah.
But you are educating me a lot in the last.
I know, you got to spend your first Chinese New Year's with me.
Yeah, and then I've been invited to several dinners,
Yeah.
gatherings of other fellow Chinese creatives. I don't know why
I don't know why you're
I don't know
you're
why-
talking like this is a
I
fucking
don't know.
UN.
It's
like,
fucking weird. I don't
peace
know.
talk.
Yeah. I sound like such a fucking noob, but we've had some arguments too, and we're gonna go
Yeah.
into that. One of the famous arguments
Yeah.
has been the jjajangmyeon argument, which is black paste. What is black paste?
bean sauce.
Black bean. See, I'm already fucking up my
Yeah.
argument. The black bean sauce noodle dish.
Yeah.
And
That the Chinese invented.
Yeah, we both have it in our cultures. Our version is a Korean Chinese,
Yeah.
Korean like remix
Yeah.
of the dish.
Yeah. In Chinese, it's called jjajangmyeon,
Yeah,
which sounds almost the same.
Almost the same, but
And it literally means fried sauce noodles.
okay, I didn't know that. Yeah, but the two versions are different.
Yeah.
And that's where the problem lies, because you
Yeah.
like your version,
Yep.
and for
Well, here's the thing though. You've been talking about your version of jjajangmyeon, and then you were like, "I'm gonna take you to a spot,"
I forgot
and
that.
it was
You hated it.
trash. It was trash.
Which was really surprising to me, because I didn't think you would think it was trash.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I would think like, okay, this is not for me. I see what they're
Yeah,
trying
yeah.
to do here. You were just like, you trashed it. You straight trashed it.
It was so gross, dude.
Okay, so you don't like the super lathered up sauce.
Okay, what I didn't like. Okay, first of all, it was filled to the brim excessively with onions, and then the sauce was really sweet, and there was no meat in it. All of those things.
Those are okay. I just thought it was, because what I noticed with the Chinese version, the sauce doesn't really cover up lathers it like
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? It's a little bit more.
But I actually like it lathered when the sauce tastes good.
Right.
But like we always make it, at least in my family, we always make it with meat.
Yeah, I noticed the sauce is a little bit more meat heavy on the Chinese version.
Oh,
because when you see the sauce just like laying on the top of it, it looks more meaty.
Yeah, totally.
I see your point.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, next move is I'm going to take you somewhere
I
to
want
get
to try
Chinese jjajangmyeon.
Because I've tried it once and it wasn't my cup of tea.
Yeah.
So maybe, we got to round 2.
Okay, fine. But I don't know who took you to try your first one.
It was just like a Bay Area. I went to the Bay Area. But it was a pretty official spot. That's why I was like, maybe this isn't my thing, But what
all right. We each get one do-over.
Yeah, we get a do-over. I mean, you're definitely an ally of the Korean community, so I know
you really have to reciprocate because you're not doing half the shit that I do.
No, I always tell people I grew up here in Koreatown and I didn't have a lot of Chinese friends growing up. You know what I'm saying? And because there's 626, and I'm not from there. I went to high school like around here and shit. So the last couple of years, I made a gang of Chinese homies.
Yeah,
which is kind of you and your crew.
Yeah, was Jimmy the start of it?
No. Jimmy wasn't. I had 2 Chinese friends growing up. Like Mack Gao.
Oh yes, Mack Gao, my cousin.
Yeah, exactly. I told him to come to be a co-host today, and he was like, "I look terrible." I was like, "What? What the fuck?
What's he got to be vain about?
I don't understand.
Just cover your face with a fucking Y3 ski mask."
Music producer, so fucking insecure. No, I'm kidding. But I was doing shows with Mike since I was like a teenager in LA and shit. But he was like the only. But I never even thought about Chinese. Like when you're young, you don't care about that. And we're just in music and shit. And then but the last couple years, like there was like the Chinese squad. Like I'm the only Korean in the squad. You know what I mean? Like, so that was interesting. I mean, Nora I met mad years ago, and I was kind of her introduction to Korean shit because she grew up Chinese. So. She started hanging out with me and my homies, and we're in Korean karaoke all of a sudden. And she's like, "What is going on? This is some new shit." But she liked it. I mean, she liked Korean food and shit. But, anyways, hopefully.
Yeah. Well, I grew up with Korean Chinese. Like
what do you mean?
Like ethnically Korean Chinese people. Okay. Like they're basically like 10th generation Korean, but who have been in China for generations.
Oh, okay.
There's like a big population of
the ones that make my version of the jjajangmyeon.
Yes. Yeah. So like I grew up with a lot of people like that where they're like both Korean and Chinese.
Where what area is that?
Well, no, it was more because my parents' best friends are Korean Chinese. So like
wait, didn't you took a 23andMe?
Yeah, I did. I didn't bring it because you always hate it.
No, I want to hear.
You always give me shit for bringing it up.
We gotta do it for the podcast.
All right.
So what's your results?
I'm 21% Korean.
21% Korean.
That's a lot. That's a quarter, almost a quarter.
Is that a lot for like a 23andMe result to have like a
that's almost
surprise
a quarter.
like that? Yeah, that's true. That is almost a quarter.
That's almost a quarter, dude.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah. So then I called up my mom and I was like, I would have bet when I did 23andMe, I would have bet money that I was like 98% Chinese.
Yeah.
And so when I got that 21%, I was shocked.
Yeah.
And I called up my mom and I was like, hey, I did 23andMe and it says I'm 21% Korean. And she was like, oh, that's your dad. I have nothing to do with that.
So if you found the results out and then you went to go eat jjajangmyeon with me, like, would you have been like, I could learn to love this? Like,
hell no. What's interesting is like with the 23andMe, with all kinds of people like discovering parts of themselves, it's like, look, like I don't, because people were asking me, they were like, do you feel like you can claim yourself as like part Korean now? And I'm like, no, because I think that your racial identity is like comes from 2 factors.
Oh, for sure.
One is if you were raised in the culture. I was not raised in Korean culture. And 2 is if the world treats you and receives you as that culture too, Ooh,
that's great. I like hearing. That's interesting.
And it's both, So for like a lot of people who are like maybe they look ethnically ambiguous or like they're white passing or something like that, they like they don't have both of those,
right?
Like so that the racial identity is much more complicated and layered than just.
I agree with you. That second thing you said was about how the way the world perceives you. You know what I'm saying? So to me, it's like that's why I think it's important that a lot of Asians understand that within the groups too, because we're like racist to each other.
Oh,
you know what I'm
totally,
saying? And
totally.
You see shit like about like right now about with the coronavirus shit. I said something on Twitter about this because I saw people that I saw people coming out like showing their racism like that I didn't expect, like even within the Korean community, motherfuckers like saying some shit like denying their Chineseness.
Oh yeah,
and
totally.
Shit. And I was like,
have you seen the pictures from Korea where they're holding up signs saying like close the border to China?
I mean, but it's like here, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, you're Korean American or whatever, Chinese American. It's like. Do you think you're like out here like
but you know what? Asians love being racist. That's like their favorite thing.
I think it is.
Yeah.
I think they love like clarifying like I'm this. Like, but it's like to me, I feel like I know this more than a lot of people because I come from the battle rap world. So when I did these battle rap things, they weren't hitting me with specific Korean jokes. It was just all. It was a salad of racist jokes.
Fucking Sizzler salad bar.
It was like I'm gonna hit you with a pho line. I'm gonna hit you with this Korean line. You know what I'm saying? Like, but it really helped me understand what the perception of the average person is about Asian people. Yeah, I think, and that was important for me to understand that and understand like. Bro, I'm not gonna sit here and act like I'm an elite Asian. I'm safe from this thing or that thing. Motherfuckers do not have time to categorize you. Right now they're not advanced enough to do that yet. Yeah, you know what I mean.
Okay, well, advanced, sure. That's an interesting word choice.
Well, I'm just saying, yeah. They haven't updated their software.
Yeah. Like, their racism software.
Yeah, exactly. Like if there was a racist dude super specific with my shit, I'd be like kind of impressed and offended at the same time. Like, God
like he took the time to learn your culture so he can hate it accurately.
Like he's like racist about a region I'm from in Korea. I'm like, God damn.
You'd have to give him some respect for that.
Like, I didn't know I'm from that province. Like, shit. Go back to your province. Like, God damn. Okay. I don't know what I lost. So wait, all right, what else are you working on besides? Is that you have to kind of just that's your thing? Like that's how the jobs work. Writing jobs, right? Like
I mean, in TV, it is like if you're doing something like this, I mean, it's kind of all encompassing.
Right, and it's Marvel, so like you got to be all in. Yeah, and they take care of you, obviously. The Rolex.
Oh boy. Look, it's not the Rolex I wanted, okay? Because what the Rolex I want is I want a fucking gold president.
You were about to like go in, but you stopped yourself. I remember you told me this.
Yeah. I couldn't do it.
It was a little significantly more.
I wanted a starter Rollie.
let me see it.
It's
That's nice.
It's a Datejust. It's
is that black in the back there?
Yeah, it's a 1989 Datejust with a tapestry dial. So see how it looks kind of pinstriped? That's the tapestry dial. Oh God. This is a gold and stainless steel Jubilee band. Yeah. I'm a big fan of the Jubilee band.
I hate you.
You know what's funny is like I never really cared about watches, and then about like 2 years ago, like something awakened in me. Yeah. And I was like, I gotta get a fucking gold Rolex. Right. And Ronnie Chang said, it's in your blood.
Yeah, weren't we like at the table for dinner the other time, and Jimmy has watches too.
Jimmy and Ken like were the ones like really, really pressuring me. Ken Chang, who's another writer, were both pressuring me really, really hard to join the Rollie Club.
I love seeing it though because y'all are like y'all come from the grind and the hustle with it, Seeing that transition is great.
We're all immigrants.
It was the same shit with me. And, like, Nora was living in a shitty little fucking apartment in Greenpoint, Brooklyn. Like, I roomed with her a couple months, and I remember the way she was living. She was just, only wearing thrift shit. Yeah. She was like a hipster thrift chick or whatever. Yeah. And all of a sudden, like, because there's this documentary wherein I always make fun of this situation because they do an update on us like 4 years later from the grind. Yeah. And we call it the evil Aquafina at the end because she's just like, everything looks significantly nicer. The shit she's wearing, she has a fucking maid in the background. Like, but I love seeing that because I was a gritty kid in the grind too, and you get a little money. You want to, enjoy a little couple nice things.
Of course. Yeah, absolutely. Let me tell you, this watch was the fucking talk of Christmas at my family. Like, that's all people wanted to talk about.
Have you like flexed a little like gift, like a super nice gift for your mom or something like that? Or
no, I mean I fucking pay their mortgage. That's good enough,
I kind of feel the same way, low-key. I feel the same way. I do the same shit. So I'm like, damn, like Christmas gift? Like Christmas is all year as far as I'm concerned. That's so funny. I kind of feel the same way.
Yeah, they're doing the immigrant parent thing now, where they're like, we're not doing Christmas gifts, we're not doing like birthday gifts, like we're not celebrating, like they only want to celebrate their birthdays when it's like each decade,
right?
You know.
Yeah, my parents. I feel like my parents like when I give them money for rent and shit like that.
Yeah.
But when I try to give them like a Gucci wallet or something like that, they're like, "Why the fuck you waste? Give me the cash." Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like they don't. My mom don't like that shit. I feel like I don't know. I really thought she would.
Yeah.
You know, but she was just like, you should have.
I mean, my mom likes that stuff, but it's really funny because it's like, you know, she still got that like old school like 80s immigrant kind of mentality. Like she doesn't even know like the higher end labels.
Yeah,
like that's how you know it's like. She doesn't know like Hermes or like Celine or, you know, Van Cleef and Arpels.
She just wants Coach or what? Like
she's beyond Coach.
Okay. She's a little bit.
She used to be into Coach, but now she's very like smug about it and is like, I don't like Coach.
Like
I don't use
Louis or Gucci.
Yes, now it's like Louis and Gucci. Yeah, totally.
I feel you, but there's the next level.
Yeah. But she hasn't even like she still doesn't know what the next level is.
That's good. Don't introduce him to that.
You think I'm trying to introduce? I'm not trying to introduce that kind of stress into my life.
Hell no. Fuck that. I'm not at that level. I know. Are we at that level? I don't think we're at the level yet. Hell no. That's another level.
I barely just got out of only buying things at the outlet mall. Okay, like the last 2 years are the first 2 years where I actually bought like full retail price.
I do feel
stuff.
like I caught you right in the
caught
transition.
Me right. Yes, you did.
I feel like maybe even the first day I met you weren't even fully
no,
there yet.
No, because it was after I met you that I started like buying like full retail, like actually going to the For Reals like Beverly Hills store instead of going to like an outlet.
You were wearing some vintage shirt when I first met you, and then there was some new shit happening.
Yeah. You caught me right on the like the precipice of me becoming a horrible person.
Oh my god, that's fucking hilarious. Well, Jessica Gao, an inspiration.
Yeah, I thought we were gonna fight more, but we really kept it civil.
No, it was great.
Yeah.
Jiangmen war is over.
It's over.
I mean, it's still going.
Yeah.
But we have a treaty right now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Ceasefire.
Yeah, this is the DMZ for us.
I mean, you've done some amazing work since I've met you. You won an Emmy for Pickle Rick. You've gone on to you had a deal with ABC, and now you're working on your dream project, She-Hulk.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see where you're going to go in next year's, and I'm excited to follow you on that journey, hopefully be casted on one of those things. So we're on this journey together as far as I'm concerned. I'm excited where we go together.
Oh, together. Always now. We're bonded for life now?
The industry needs us. You know what I'm saying? They need this alliance.
Oh, it's us now.
We're the only hope for this alliance between the Chinese and Koreans, I mean, the Koreatown is, it's a collaboration now with the Chinese and Korean, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and I'm here.
Look, I've lived in Koreatown longer than I've lived anywhere in any other city.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I know. You've been here for quite a while.
13 years.
Yeah, exactly. And that's more than a lot of people can say.
Yeah.
In this region of Los Angeles, right? So, you're the OG. You're the pioneer Chinese here. You're the only, probably back then. Yeah, it was like you're the few Chinese.
I have noticed over the last few years so many more Chinese people here. Yeah, I mean, it's really crazy.
All the restaurants, in the plaza and stuff.
And all the grocery stores.
Yeah. So, I mean, maybe you started.
Yeah, I brought the wave. I was like, guys, it's safe.
You're the Columbus. Well, I don't even.
Yeah, all right. How do you normally end the podcast, man?
This is the history of Koreatown. This is literally
the
first settlers of Koreatown. I'm gonna give it to you.
You're gonna give this to me?
To you,
Oh my god! So I can put it in my house.
Yeah, I want you to just read up on.
I love it. Are you gonna quiz? Did you even read this?
Jessica Gao is in here somewhere. You did. The first Chinese.
You know what? The last page of this should be you and me shaking hands underneath the Koreatown arch.
The book isn't done yet. We're adding chapters to this book.
There's a blank page at the end for you and me to add stuff.
It's gonna be fun. We'll be cutting a ribbon somewhere and shit of a new Jajangmyeon place. A hint of Korean influence, a hint of Chinese.
Oh man!
Check out Jessica Gao. I'm looking forward to the She-Hulk project. That's the next thing. When is it supposed to come out?
I don't know.
I
don't know.
And they don't know either, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But She-Hulk on Disney Plus. Look out for hopefully we could do something together in the near future.
Yeah.
Tune in next week for another episode of Fun with Dumb.